Welcome back. In response to high broadband service prices and poor internet service, a group of cable technicians on strike created their own internet service provider, or ISP, called People's Choice Communications. And they've already started providing low cost internet access in an effort to bridge the digital divide here in the Bronx. Joining us now to share more are co founders of People's Choice Communications, Troy Walcott and David Pabon. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Of course. So for those who are not familiar, we gave a little introduction, but can you please tell us more about People's Choice Communications and your mission?
Well, People's Choice Communication, like you said earlier, is a group of 1,800 of us went on strike against Spectrum Cable. 40 years before that, we spent building out the entire infrastructure for New York City's cable system. Once they put us on strike in 2017, we tried to come up with the idea first to have municipal ownership, where the city would own the cable system. We pooled our money together to put a business plan together for that. But after not getting any response, we thought of the next idea. Why don't we, the people who built the system, combine with the customers who want the service, kick out the middleman, and we can have ownership of the system, which is what the idea we will present today, which is People's Choice Communications, a company for the cable system owned by both the employees and the people who use it.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing, Troy. And I heard that this is one of the biggest strikes so far in U.S. history, no?
Yep, correct. Unfortunately, we have the title of having one of the longest strikes in U.S. history.
Wow. But thank you for sharing the background of People's Choice Communications. It sounds like an incredible effort for the community. What are some of the challenges and issues with connectivity, specifically in the Bronx, if you can share?
Yeah, there's a lot of talk. There's so much talk about the digital divide, places where people can get can't get access services. Well, there are some places where the access is to the service is too far. Then there are places like in the Bronx where service is all around us, but these big companies control all of it. And make the cost to get it so high so people are blocked out from getting it because the lack of money. The challenge we face here is affordability.
And when we talk about COVID-19, we know that COVID-19 has exacerbated the digital divide our communities have faced. A lot of kids have been offline due to remote learning. Can you share more about the impact that COVID-19 has had on the digital divide?
Yeah, it's been devastating. I mean, we been on strike after 3 years at that point. Of course, we faced it, but it doesn't compare to some people who have been putting through this problem for even longer. So people now who are stuck in their homes, who didn't have access to things as critical as school or telemedicine, court cases. So now you were blocked off in one respect, and now you would get cut off completely in another. While people were at home and had to gather in their homes, now communication from the outside world was cut off almost totally, and that was because of this lack of access. And then when the people that caused the problem, the cable companies, were asked to do something to solve it, they still turned around and blocked people from getting service because old bills were unpaid. So we saw this as a problem that needed to be solved. And luckily, there was a philanthropic effort where money was specifically put forward to try to fix that problem as fast as possible, and we had the skills in order to be able to fix that. So the two of us came together to be able to provide immediate relief, especially during a COVID-19 crisis.
Right. And one of those networks that you're trying to develop here in the Bronx is actually called community-owned networks. Can you define that for us and help us understand what they will mean for Bronxites?
Dave, I think I'll let you take that one, or you want me to take it?
Yeah, you could take it.
Yes. So the community-owned network, and this is the best part of what we have, is now that the community has a stake and ownership in this part of the system, what it will do is provide both such social and economic empowerment to the same communities that were once underserved for service. So now imagine you being cut off from cable and now having ownership of it. What would you do with it? It is a great ability to add that impact immediately to these underserved communities. And you could imagine going to the same store that you go to get your breakfast sandwich in the morning, and that store turning around and buying internet service from the same community that it serves. I mean, it's a great opportunity to add both social and economic power to those people.
Right. And as you both mentioned, you've installed several antennas throughout the Bronx so far. Can you share where this initiative is already being used and how it's going?
Right. I mean, in a short space of time, we've been able to cover a large swath of the Bronx. So we're going all the way down from the bottom of the Bronx and even Mott Haven all the way up to Fordham Heights. And we have the capacity to expand even further. And then right now, we're just continuing to build out that network and be able, the more people that add to the network, the stronger it becomes. So we just recently also moved into Manhattan, and we look to expand from there.
Right. Can we emphasize on some of the benefits of community-owned networks a little more in case people are tuning in and they're like, "Oh, I just want to learn more about it."
The benefits of having a community ownership of the networks is the interest of the companies coincides with the users. What companies would deeply dedicate profits improving underserved communities more than the people who live there and would actually benefit what they would actually benefit from it, not just token charity gestures from the media, but actually structural improvements to the community that provide long lasting and social the network, and in the interest of the company coincides with the users.
And if you can also discuss why it was important for you both and your colleagues to give back to the community in this way through a co-op.
I think it's because we from here. You have everybody has a vested interest in the places that they are from. So I mean, we're from New York City. Companies like Spectrum came from outside of New York City and completely took over and looked to disenfranchise the workers that were part of New York City. They looked to raise prices on the customers because they had no other choice, disrespected elected officials of the city because what could they care for anything more besides profits? But when you live in that community and you have a stake there, you want to see things improve. You want to see things get better. And instead of just having somebody come and do an event and give away a couple of laptops to make it look good on TV, I want to have a daycare center built into my community where a mother can drop off their kids so they can go to work and provide a better life in the long term, not some kind of token justice. So if the community owns it, we want to see it work because it's for us.
Right. And speaking of that, I also wanted to bring up that the city did enact a law to provide affordable broadband services to those who need it. And apparently, these internet service providers are against this. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And this is really related to what we're talking about right now, no?
Yes, definitely. At last I've seen, I've been trying to watch and monitor that situation as well. Because honestly, if the city can force them to do that, and that they have to force them, it would be great because the best thing to do, whether it's us or anybody else, is to be able to give these people immediate access to this service because it's critical. But I just don't think it's happened. From my understanding, they're already forming up teams to fight this legally. They're going to fight being able to give this. And then the second part of this is even if it goes through, what's considered affordable? We've seen so many times where people say affordable housing, but affordable according to who? So even say if they create so many barriers where maybe 20 people or a couple of hundred people can get this $15 an hour service. What about everybody else who they consider not at that poverty level, who are still struggling just to be able to connect to the rest of the world?
That's definitely a big concern. And I know that you'll be holding, in partnership with your partners and the People's Choice Communications, are holding a Zoom meeting today. How can people RSVP to learn more? And can you tell us a little bit more about what will be going on at this meeting?
Yes. So one of the partner organizations that we met with to expand this model is Metro IAF. So they are already heavily active in the community and helping out, especially things like NYCHA residents, is setting up programs for them. They have put together a forum where mayoral candidates are going to be coming to hear about the community's problems around education and the digital divide. So tonight that Zoom meeting will be held and everyone's welcome to attend. If you want, you can go on to peopleschoice.coop, the website. We'll have a link for that Zoom meeting tonight where you can sign up and listen in and hopefully address some of these questions to the candidates that are running for mayor.
And that's taking place at 6 p.m., right, Troy?
6 p.m. tonight, yeah.
Got you. Finally, thank you both for joining us. But how can people find out more and sign up for free and affordable internet? Is that an option right now for folks?
Well, right now, you could just go to our website at peopleschoice.coop and sign up to see if you can receive service And if not, at least, you can support us and support everything we're doing.
I read on your website that the more people that sign up, the more powerful this becomes. Can you tell us more about that as well?
Yeah, so one of the things we found out, even though we provide cable service, you figure out about the buying power behind it after you're out of the system. So if you think about it, if we have 1,000 megabits of service, and we want people buy that in bulk, and people with money buy it because they just like to have the extra there at the side in case they use it. So now what if you take that 1,000 and you spread it amongst 100 people? Now you can provide service to those people, and that price splits. So that's kind of how the network works. We're buying the service in bulk, and now we have more than enough service provided to people, but because people are sharing the cost and there's not $100 million of profit being paid to one CEO, we can take that money, distribute it to more people, and the more people that come in, the stronger the system becomes, the further we're able to expand, and the more we're able to reinvest back into the system and the community.
Thank you again, Troy and David, for joining us today and sharing more about People's Choice Communications.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. We appreciate having a chance to get to speak to you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Of course, it's been a pleasure. Again, folks, Troy Walcott and David Pabon are co-founders of People's Choice Communications, and they're seeking to bring affordable services for internet and broadcast here in the Bronx. So stay tuned and learn more about them. OpenBXRX will be right back.